Hi there, good evening. You ready? Hi, good evening. Welcome to the Lall Show, where we tell it as it is. This is this week's first broadcast of this show, which will be live broadcasted again on Wednesday and then Friday, where we will be discussing a lot of pressing issues that have been covered in the Kaieteur newspaper over the past week or so. With me tonight, I have the man of the hour, Mr. Lall, the publisher of Kaieteur News, as well as Miss Kiana Wilburg, one of the journalists here at Kaieteur News. Mr. Kemol is expected to join us in about 10 minutes or so, so we're going to wait. Well, we're going to carry on with the program until he gets here. So to begin tonight's program, well, just before I begin it, I just want to remind the listeners and the viewers that you can send us your comments or your questions on WhatsApp on 622-2222, or you can call us on 226-7453. Yes. So, Mr. Lall, I hand the fort over to you.
Thank you, Mikhaila. Good evening, guys in the studio.
Good evening.
Good evening to all Guyana. I'd like to start off by giving a word of advice or words of wisdom. Whenever I read, I like to memorize and keep them there. And a single quote says today, if you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle. You have a case, you have a cage. And that, when I read it, I smiled, because that's where our leaders have us, Guyana, in a cage. We are all in a cage. Yes. All of them put us in that cage. The PPP, the PNC, and the AFC leaders. You know, Kiana, Mikhaila, dashing people's hope isn't a good thing. Breaking people's heart isn't too. Yesterday, I attended a funeral, and I heard from people, a few of them, Glenn, are we going to get anything? Some of them still believe that big money coming their way. Yes, every single Guyanese all across this land believes that there's this massive oil find will take us to heaven. Their lives will change. Money will flow like the water in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, many believe that all their dreams will come true. Well, I have news for you, my brothers and sisters, all of you. I just want to tell you tonight, I want to talk a little on 2 or 3 stories. 2 or 3 stories out of the thousands of other stories this newspaper would have carried since the discovery of oil in this land. Stories about oil company, how they cheat, how they rob you, and left many countries indebted all over this world. If you don't know a man, Kiana, you would never tie bundle with him, not true?
Absolutely.
Got you. Nobody picks up a woman or picks up a man in a day and rush to marry. Who does that?
Crazy
That's
person.
right, a crazy individual. What we do, the first thing you do is to find out a little about the man or the woman, where they come from, everything about their background. Then and only then you can move into marriage, not true?
Absolutely.
Good. It's the same thing. If you want to go into business with an individual, you got to get to know he or she. You got to find out if he or she's a scam before you can tie bundle with them. In a nutshell, you have to know these people you're going to do business with. It's the same principle apply with oil companies. We have to know who we're doing business with in this land. The first thing our leaders have to do is to get to know the oil people them they're tying up business with. before you sign up any deals, that is the first thing you got to do. You got to find out who these people are. Did Guyana do that? Did Guyana do that, Kiana?
No, we didn't.
Mikhaila?
We're very infamous for not doing proper due
Certainly
diligence.
not. We didn't. So then, why our leaders sign up deals with all them oil companies so fast? You know, many people ask the question. And there is only one thing anybody will sign up a deal with another partner if he sees that man or that woman is an idiot or a fool in which he can rob blind. Or if he knows whatever he throws at that idiot, he will happily accept and jump up for joy. He's like a smart man. See, you're rich and stupid, and you got a nice girl child. You pretend how sweet and good he is just to marry her for the riches. As soon as he get a little piece of that wealth, he left your picnic and he gone. I tell you this story, Kiana and Guyana, just to let you know that is exactly how oil companies behave. They go around the world, eye up your wealth, pretend they're the best people to help you turn rich. Instead, then throw a few bones at you and your family and give you sweet wine and some scotch and some vodka. And by the time you wake up, all your wealth is gone. And I tell you this because knowing a little business, growing up in the Stabrook market, selling in the streets, I have seen so much cockishness played out with people. This what is playing out with our wealth right here now, brothers and sisters, is a whole set of cockishness we are seeing here. I have been around and would have learned a thing or two in business. So when we hear this massive oil find, I got cracking on the players we are doing business with. And more so, the deals Guyana accepted. And Guyana, as me and my staff began diving into it, we at the Kaieteur News could not take our eyes off these people. What we found is more than enough to tell all the world that Guyana, you are in for a ride that will take us to our graveyard, broke, jet broke. I only hope you're listening to me, Guyana. We will go to our graveyard broke. I want to begin tonight's program with one story we carried 3 days ago. The headline was, ExxonMobil granted contracts to friends and family connected to the government of Equatorial Guinea. You remember that story?
Absolutely.
Right. And every expert, every critic of this land fear the same thing may occur in Guyana. The friends and families connected to the government of Equatorial Guinea live lifestyles fit for kings and queens, Guyana. You hear that? They live like kings and queens. They live right now. They're living large, extremely large, with the oil wealth that they stole from that country. An investigation revealed that the source of their wealth was due to the fact that ExxonMobil was funneling millions of dollars into a private account belonging to the government. And that is not all, Guyana. ExxonMobil was also granting contracts to friends and family members connected to the government of Equatorial Guinea. Several anti-corruption advocates fear that the same thing may take place in Guyana. And believe me, Guyana, it is already happening here. I have some news to give you guys what is happening here, but not tonight. I am putting it together so you can understand what is playing out and how these oil companies and governments leaders behave. In the case of Equatorial Guinea, ExxonMobil did engage in employing and training locals. The oil giant also procured services and products from the host country. But in almost every instances, ExxonMobil's action, they had one thing in common. Almost every local person or services used had strong ties to the government of that country. And all this that I'm talking about here was exposed in an investigation done by the American Senate subcommittee. Among the reasons for the hearing was that in 2004, the subcommittee identified a bank in Washington where ExxonMobil and other oil companies deposited millions of dollars owed to the country for operating there. That money went to the family of the president of Equatorial Guinea. The subcommittee said. This occurred during the time this man, Rex Tillerson, he was the head of ExxonMobil and became the Secretary of State of the US under Donald Trump. And there are so many things these people said, how they corrupt the entire country with billions of dollars that they stole. And the people right now in Equatorial Guinea are barely eking out a living, just like how Guyanese is trying to eke out a living, according to our president, Irfan. So it's Guyana, you got to keep your eyes, your ears, your nose, your brain, your stomach, your toe, your knee, your fingers, all. You got to keep it open. If not, we will suck salt. We will all suck salt, Guyana. You want to say anything on the
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, Mr. Lall. And I think that you started off on a really important or critical point of view there, which is to highlight the manner in which contracts are awarded by oil companies and who are really the beneficiaries, not the citizens, but a select few, those who are in government, those who hold the strings for approvals. And it comes back to a point that Kaieteur News has been making for quite some time, which is to learn from the lessons, learn from the mistakes other countries have made. Now we're seeing that Ghana is only able to learn about the beneficiaries of these contracts after the fact. In Guyana's case now, to demonstrate that we are learning from the mistakes made by these countries, we can demand that ExxonMobil makes every contract public. We have not demanded that. And it is our right to demand that they make those contracts public because at the end of the day, it's Guyana that's footing the bill. So here again, we're seeing that we're just allowing another opportunity to pass us by to ensure that there's proper disclosure in the oil and gas industry. I mean, in the absence of this, we have no idea if what has played out in these African countries is already upon us. and to what extent. We have no idea where that is. And just to go back to a point that you made earlier, Mr. Lall, about the management of our resources. When the Irfan Ali administration was sworn in, I remember doing a piece on many of the things the Irfan Ali government can do within the first 100 days, or steps it can make. 20 things that it can start on. And of these 20 things, they did the review of the local content policy. And according to President Ali, this is going to be brought into law next year, with the policy, of course, published for public scrutiny. They've been able to complete the National Oil Spill Contingency Plan. And they seem to be on the path of trying to finish up the audit of the pre-contract costs for prior to 2015. What it hasn't done, however, are some fundamental things that are critical to ensuring that it's not, the wealth of this country is not just being funneled into the pockets of ExxonMobil and its shareholders. So just to give you a few of these things that we should have had in place: the right technology to monitor what is going on offshore. We should have had by now a plan in place on how a portion of this oil money would be used to build sustainable sectors, as opposed to allowing us to just be reliant on oil and gas revenues. And we can see the effects of that with our neighbor Venezuela, and even with Trinidad and Tobago, that is complaining of the decline in the economic growth due to their reliance on oil revenues. We should have had in place a depletion policy to slow down the pace of development so that we can build or strengthen our auditing capacities for the billions of dollars that ExxonMobil is going to throw at us. Apart from that, we should have been strengthening our auditing facilities, or our auditing agencies, such as the Audit Office of Guyana, which is not even equipped with the technical staff that it needs to conduct a forensic audit on one of our simple institutions. Mm-hmm. So where are we going if this is the state of the systems or mechanisms we're supposed to have in place to be our gatekeepers? In addition to that, and very important, is the fact that we have not seen any step in the direction of revising our laws. We have 9 billion barrels of oil equivalent resources out there, and we're still operating with a law that is over 30 years old. So I think I'll stop there. I can go on and on, but I'll stop there so that we can, have some more views on some of the things.
Let me just touch a little on what you said there. You said we got 9 billion barrel. Mm-hmm. 9 billion barrel is not what we have, Guyana. 9 billion barrel is what they estimated in 2 or 3 of the wells they drill in Stabroek Block alone. They have like 17 more wells to drill in the Stabroek Block alone, much less the other blocks, Guyana. You need to listen and understand this very clearly. 9 billion is just in 2 or 3 blocks there. And this is an estimate they give us. You don't know if they're telling you the truth. And if you ask me, honestly, that same question, I'll tell you, they have not tell us the truth. They just tell us 9 billion. The Stabroek Block estimated to have, in my estimation, being in business, understand a little in business, it has maybe 200-300 billion barrels of equivalent in oil. But they are not telling us yet. And we are yet to know that. It will come out. It will come out. So I want you to know, Guyana, that you and us, every one of us, are being raped by these oil companies. And the hurtful part of this all, Kiana, is that our leaders, their silence, I believe like they are happy that we are being raped. A matter of fact, they are paying the oil companies. When you look at what is happening here, they're paying the oil companies to rape us with their silence. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And this is exactly what's happening. You're not hearing nothing from the opposition leader, Joseph Harman. A matter of fact, he must be still putting together the oil team to speak to Guyana. And Jack Davis is saying no laws were broken, no corruption in signing away 2 of the oil blocks. You know, that is the only thing we're hearing from these leaders. Yes, Guyana, you need to wake up and understand what's playing out. Don't sit back and allow them to make us fools while they are making backdoor deals for themselves, family and friends. No, we have to stand up. We have to speak up. If not, Kiana, I'll tell you, God help this nation. It's terrible what's going on. Look, some of the stories we carried. One expert says Guyana might get a little money now from oil, but massive debt awaits on the horizon. When you hear experts speaking like that, you gotta be afraid, because they're not only stealing the wealth you have, brothers and sisters, they will leave us in debt. It means that our children and our grandchildren will have to fend and deal with that debt. Why are we allowing them to do that? We should not allow them to do it. You got to call them out. We have to get them to speak up. You know, today I was reading this Starbuck News, in which I finally saw Ramjatan come out and talk about trawler license. Oh, that's beautiful. That's lovely. But trawler license is important, very important, but not as important as to our oil wealth, our gold wealth, our diamond, our bauxite, our timber. They have gone silent on these issues. This is the thing I want you to talk about, Mr. Ramjatan. This is billions of dollars. Yes, you're talking about trawler license, very good. We should investigate whose hands it fall in and where our fish will be going. But we got to get to the real issue of this land, the real bread and butter of Guyana.
You know, Mr. Lall, if I can add to that, what you mentioned there about the AFC member, Mr. Kemol Ramjatan, and his focus on trawlers and license in that area. It also helps me to understand that there is a lot that our politicians really don't understand about the impact of the oil and gas industry. And that's the reason why Kaieteur News almost on a daily basis would publish stories from different parts of the world showing the effect the oil and gas sector has had on the nation. There's hardly any other sector that can compete with oil and gas for having the reputation of throwing thousands, millions of people into extreme poverty. Mm-hmm. There's no other sector with that reputation. Mm-hmm. And because Kaieteur News is acutely aware of how damaging this sector can be, of the unprecedented corruption that follows it, that is the reason why we continue to harp on the need for us to have the right governance framework in place and for everyone to get on board, for everyone to start talking, for everyone to feel the frustration with accepting a pittance or crumbs for their resources, for the theft of their resources.
You know, Kiana, I made a note on this on the same story, how little we'll be getting and how indebted we would become. And the international lawyer says, she says, the costs that we will be left with will soar in the billions. And she said, right now this is only a small fraction which will be hanging around the nation's neck in the future. These are the kind of words, when you read these type of words, you know, these people understand where we are heading. And it's not easy. It's not, it makes you don't even want to sleep when you read these things. And our country and our leaders are like silent. It's like nothing happening in this land. You know? She even went on to say, Exxon writing off 20 billion in natural gas around the world. Meaning natural gas must be costing them too much. There's no market for natural gas. And when she spoke about that, it carries me back to the story we just carried a few days ago, in which Guyana is going to borrow or indebting this nation with 304 million American dollars to bring natural gas to shore. You guys remember what happened in Ghana? Ghana is paying the oil company to bring their gas to shore, and they're buying 90% of the gas and only using 10%. So they're paying for the gas, and they have to throw away the gas. So are we going to find ourselves in the same boat? Who knows? We may very well be in the same boat, because they're talking about bringing natural gas to cut electricity cost. Now we got to be careful what we are bringing here. They're talking about Amelia Falls on one side. The PPP spend almost $80 million there. Waste. And what happened? Nothing. Has the electric bill went down? No. Gas may come here and instead bill go down. The electric bill may actually rise. So we got to be careful on these deals we're signing.
Absolutely.
We have to. You have another story here we carried. Trotman had told Parliamentary Subcommittee in 2018 it was PPP that negotiated lopsided Ornduk deal. And when you read it, you know, it's like a blame game they're playing. PPP design it. PPP sign, and that deal, I must tell you guys that the Ornduk block is worse than the Exxon 2%. The Ornduk block deal gives us 1%, and 1% is recoverable. So it means you're getting nothing. And Trotman is now telling the nation, well, it's PPP they signed that contract, and he just go ahead with it. They transfer it. You see? So it's a blame game. And if you read those words that Trotman said, it's sickening. It is sickening. You did that story, Kemol?
No, that would have been me. So Kaieteur News was able to get a copy of a transcript regarding a meeting of the Parliamentary Subcommittee on Natural Resources. At that time, it was chaired by the PPP's Odinga Lumumba. And that meeting was focused on the discovery of oil, where Guyana is, new applicants, etc. And in response to a question from Mr. Lumumba on how the APNU AFC is vetting candidates, Trotman responded by saying that at this point in time, there's a moratorium. But apart from that, the only agreement that they signed was the Oranduke license, and that was to Tullow, British Exploration and Production Company, and Eco Atlantic, which is a very small company, new entrant to the sector. Now, what is striking about what he goes on to say is that the government simply honored what the PPP negotiated. And what the PPP negotiated are the bad terms that we would have been speaking about at Kaieteur News, such as the 1% royalty, the free tax ride that they enjoy, and special provisions regarding how they can relinquish or let go of the oil of acreage after 4 and 3 and 3 years. So when we contacted him, the former minister, he made it very clear that it was no mistake, that he stands by his words, that the PPP negotiated the deal and all they did was just to sign it. Now, I want to know how on earth, as the new administration, you will not read something before you sign it. How can you say you will honor something that has to do with one of our prime offshore assets after the discovery of oil?
Yes.
It is so close to the Stabroek Block. And that's one of the reasons Tullow and Eco Atlantic have been using to get investors on board. That's how they've been able to raise capital, by saying, oh, the Oranduke block is so close to the Stabroek block. And there have already been massive discoveries. So those people understood the importance of that asset even before they drilled. And Trotman is now saying, well, we just decided to honor what was there. I don't think he understands the sort of recklessness he is telling the nation that they were really running this sector with. It was absolute recklessness.
Kiana,
if you can't sign a contract, if you can't read a contract before signing it, as a lawyer, as a minister, what does that say?
Kiana, reckless is not the word for these people. Corruption in this oil sector stinks to beyond heaven. Raphael Trotman is a lawyer, an attorney at law. All of them, Ramjat and all these people are attorneys at law. They understand law. They are not stupid fella that just come off the road like Lall, who never went to school. These people understand what they were doing. So to just say they were reckless, I am buying that, Kiana. It is beyond reckless. Something is smelling there, man. And if you read his words, Kemol, please read his words, the 2 paragraphs there.
Okay.
And listen what this man had to say when questioned.
When Kaieteur News had contacted Minister Trotman during the same time frame to explain the reason behind allowing this provision to be included in the PSA, and that's the recoverable royalty, the former minister said he was not in a position to speak in a detailed manner. Trotman, who signed the deal with Tullow Oil and Eco Atlantic, would only say, and I quote, "I am unable to discuss beyond saying that, as with both contracts, I acted on directions which I believe were in the best long-term strategic interest of the country."
Yeah. You hear what he said? He acting with instructions. An attorney at law, your leader, signing a contract between an oil company, seeing all these things that he's signing, and you telling me that he's signing with instructions? Come on, guys. We are not morons. Don't do that. Don't do that to us. Don't do that to us. You can't give away oil blocks for nothing and telling the nation that you can't speak. And he didn't even speak then. This is what Kemol is reading is what came out only a few days ago. Since they signed it in when, 2016?
Yes.
Not a single word you heard from them. We have been carrying tons and tons of articles, asking so many questions, even on to this day, over the past years, and not a single word. These guys sit down quietly, reading them, and not saying a word. It's like nothing happened. They're sending us to the slaughterhouse, Guyana. We are going to the slaughterhouse. And these guys just sit back, relax. They throw back and just say, y'all go. Y'all go. Go get y'all's neck slit. That's what these guys been doing all these times. And they continue to do the same thing as we speak here tonight, Guyana.
That's what puzzles me, Mr. Lall. If you as a minister are being badgered in the press over signing this horrible, horrible deal, and you could give clarity at the time when he was being badgered about it on who negotiated these terms, why not say it at the time? Why now? Is what I don't understand.
Kiana, Kemol, if you read through the line, the man is saying that the PPP had made out that contract.
Right.
Right? But they didn't sign it. But he get it, he read it, and he said he was instructed to sign it.
Well, we don't know if he read it.
You can't blame Trotman alone. You got to see the pack of cards that you're dealing with. Okay?
Yeah.
They are one set of cards you're dealing with. All of them. The PPP, the PNC, and the AFC. They all sell this country out. It's not one of them.
Well, on the other side, I can tell you a little more about the duplicity on the other side, because I remember being in a press conference with the then opposition leader, Mr. Jack Dio, and I remember when Kaieteur News reported about this recoverable royalty and how bad it was, Mr. Jack Dio was hammering the APNU AFC for this, talking about how Exxon takes a lot of heat, but the Tullow contract is even worse. And he went in on them, only to know now
that he is the one who and his party made up that contract. And they have the last two paragraphs. They should read it for the nation to hear what he said there. It's important for them to hear the last two.
All right. In October 2018, the then Granger government approved the total farm-in on the Oranduke block, which has the potential for almost 3 billion barrels of oil. Total subsequently sold 10% of its interest in the Oranduke block to Qatar Petroleum, and the approval for this farm-in is now under consideration by the PPP administration.
Lovely. You hear that, Guyana? You hear that? The Granger administration allowed Total to farm into the Oranduke oil block, and the farming paying how much money? There's the money
$1 million US dollars.
No, and then they sell 10% for 12.5 million US dollars. So they got our oil blocks, and they are selling it piece by piece to other players out there in the international market, and our leaders are just signing away, man. Okay, guys. Sell for millions, hundreds of millions in American dollars, and you're begging to put a little sugar and a little salt in your food home, Guyana. You going to line up. You're going to line up for 25,000 Guyana dollar. That can't even give you a proper week grocery in your house. These leaders allowing our oil blocks to be selling moving from hands to hands, throwing millions in American dollars away. And what you get in Guyana? Yeah, you get in, and next year you will get another $25,000, and you're going to run mad behind $25,000. They can't buy candy for y'all. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go on our first commercial break, and when we return, we'll continue the discussion right here on the Glenn Lall Show. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
This is a hijack. Highway robbery. Two-wheel blocks. Oil black, a heavy load. Oil black, a heavy load. Oil black broker, we back, oh Guyana. Oil black broker, we back, oh Guyana. Kaieteur and Kanji blocks, they give away free. Worth billions of US robbing the treasury. Them kinda junky business they doing to we. Our national resources gone to friends and family. You give a Mercedes to a man with a bicycle who can't even drive and don't have a license. Then they turn around and say, Guyana, you owe we. First bill 100 million in our currency. When I ask Robert, he say, no, not me. The people who get the block, them I never see. I say, Robert boy, what was on your mind? He said, don't ask me, it's the liars who sign. Uncle Donald, shame on you. I never thought you would have done that too. Trotman is where you're there. Trotman, what you gonna say? Arman is where you're there. Arman, what you gonna say? Apnu and EFC and the PPPC in saying nothing to we. Somebody tell me how could this be? As a Guyanese, I regret, like we ain't got nothing to forget. Guyana demand your share, or your pocket would go bare. Jack Dio, stop the talk. It's time to walk the walk. Oil black broker, we back, oh Guyana. Oil black broker, we back, oh Guyana. It's where we leaders who represent, like all of them gone silent.
Thank you for staying with us. You're tuned into the Lall Show, where we tell it as it is. Just now we were having a discussion on the
Orandu
yes,
block.
the Orandu block and its giveaway, and we were speaking about the former Natural Resources Minister, Mr. Trotman, and why he signed away that block, and he said that he was instructed and directed. We have a comment here on our Facebook Live from a Rita Deodat, who's asking for him to tell us who instructed and directed him to sign away that contract.
That's a good question, and we have an answer for that, but we'll let you read it in tomorrow's edition of the Kaieteur News.
And just in case you can't afford or you can't read the Kaieteur News, listen to us Wednesday. We'll tell you who authorized and who directed Trotman to give away the oil blocks. Before we continue, I just want to remind our listeners of this quote that's playing in my mind. The world suffers a lot, not because of the violence of bad people, but because of the silence of the good people. Always, I just love that quote. Don't be silent. You have to wake up. You have to speak up. You have to stand up, brothers and sisters. If not, nothing good awaits us.
Let me remind those who are listening and watching to keep commenting your questions and your commentary in the comments section on our Facebook Live on Kaieteur Radio. You can also call us at 226-7453. That's 226-7453. I also have the company phone here, reading your text messages and your WhatsApp. I can read your questions out from Mr. Lall, and the rest of the panel to respond to or comment on. It's 622-2222. You can send a text or you can WhatsApp. So let's continue the discussion.
You know, Kiana, during the week we carried a story about the World Bank,
Oh,
in
yes.
which, and it made me thinking all the time if we can trust these people, you know, because what they did to Ghana, and that story in which they finally came out and said they should have executed a carefully thought out strategy for Ghana's gas deal. Yeah, they allow those people, they made those people sign on to that gas deal, and give them a terrible deal, and now they're coming out and say they should have carefully thought out the strategy. My God.
Sorry, if I could give clarity there.
Yes.
I don't think they actually admitted any wrongs on the World Bank's part.
Wow.
What they did was said they should have thought out a careful communication strategy so that when they executed the project, the people could better understand the benefit that they intended for the project to bring to them.
We have a caller on the line. We'll just take that call right now. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you guys doing?
Hello.
Hi, good evening. Hello.
Hi, good evening. You're on to the Glenn Lall Show.
Good. How are you guys doing? The work concerning the World Bank, right? You guys have read the confessions of an economic hitman? Hello?
Just hold on 1 second for us.
Sure.
Can you repeat the question for us?
I said concerning the World Bank. Have you guys heard of confessions of an economic hitman?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Let me just
I've read that
quote-
book.
Let me just quote his first statement. Right? He said, they funnel money from the World Bank, the USAID and other foreign aid organizations into the coffers of huge corporations and the pockets of a few wealthy families who control the planet's natural resources. Their tools include fraudulent financial reports, rigged elections, payoff, extortion, sex, and murder. They play a game as old as empire, but one that has taken on new and terrifying dimensions during its time of globalization. I should know. I was an economic hitman. So the World Bank and the IMF, they are working for the few. They are working for the few the few corporations of the world, right? So we cannot expect the World Bank to be working in the interest of the Guyanese people that, as in Ghana, they approve, right? Also, the other thing. Hello.
We're here.
The other one, they buy, okay, my job, she said, was to encourage world leaders to become part of a vast network that promotes U.S. commercial interests. In the end, those leaders become ensnared in a web of debt that ensures their loyalty. We can draw on them whenever we desire to satisfy your political, economic, or military needs. In turn, they bolster their political positions by bringing industrial parks, power plants, airports to the people. The owners of U.S. engineering, anyway, today we see the result system on a mock. The bottom line is, the 12 million families they control in the United States, they work with the energy industry creates at Enron. The accounting industry creates Anderson. The income ratio of 1/5 of the world's countries. They said they destroy the planet in just to satisfy corporate America or the corporations of the world. So the World Bank and the IMF does not work in the interest of poor countries. Poor countries are still poor, but the richest 1% of corporate America are still rich. So IMF or World Bank does not work in the interest of poor countries.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's a wise individual. The man understands what's playing out here. It is so sad.
Just
Mr.
a little
Lall,
technical difficulty.
You know,
here.
what I
ahead.
read tonight while I was doing my work fits into this. After Ghana realized that it was stuck in this trap where it was paying hundreds of millions for gas it didn't use, it had to start up a program called the Energy Sector Recovery Program to help fix the problems. And guess who helped it set up the program?
World Bank again.
World Bank.
World Bank again. You hear the gentleman says? The World Bank and all these funding institutions, they're the one who's setting us up. That is exactly what the man said, and I believe that from day one. When you look at what the World Bank did, Trotman said it clearly last week. Trotman said Michael Warner was approved by the World Bank.
By the World Bank.
So they take World Bank money, and World Bank send their own people, and their own people working in whose interest? In the oil company interest. It's about the corporate America. Third world countries have no say. You remember the story. Anthony Paul from Trinidad came and set the stage for us to benefit.
Right.
And Warner came from the World Bank and changed everything to suit the oil companies. So that gentleman is a wise man. The man understands everything was playing out. I am happy when I get these type of calls. So it tells me that people out there understand. People see what's going on. But I want to hear your voices, Guyana. You need to understand, and I need to hear you. We cannot allow them to make us another poor third world country in this part of the world. They have messed up many countries and left them. Don't allow them to do us that. Don't allow them to do our children and future generations that. Please.
Just to make a quick comment, while the caller was on air, one of my contacts, who shall remain nameless, at the Inter-American Development Bank sent me a link to remind me that the World Bank can now be sued for its projects that go awry overseas. Wow. So,
but we should sue them now for the.
That's a historic. The link. The contact sent to me explains that the reason why the World Bank was so giving in terms of its projects and allowing things to go awry is because it enjoyed immunity.
You're using the wrong word. Sell out. Why the World Bank sell out?
Okay, Mr. Lall.
Yes.
So, in one of the articles that I'm looking at, a financial expert is explaining that this new legal liability might make the World Bank think twice about whether to fund projects that could come with high environmental or social risk. So I think this is a very, very important step to know that even as we have a $20 million loan from the World Bank, which already has a number of issues, we can still, as a collective, have some avenue to ensure that we get some form of justice.
That's right. That's right. They're lending. They're giving you a loan to fix your oil industry, but instead to fix it, they want to fix it to suit them, so that you fall at the wayside and they pick up your wealth and go on with it. That's exactly what they're doing in a layman's term. And we should take them to court. And we should demand that our government do not borrow money from these people anymore. They're just setting you up. Yeah.
So we're cutting down to our final 4 minutes of the show.
Not so.
Come on.
This happens every week.
So, Mr. Lall, can you give us your closing remarks on tonight's discussion?
No, I want to talk a little more. I just want to talk a little more.
Remaining.
Let's give him an extra 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
I want to talk a little more on borrowing of loans, taking money to do this and taking money to do that, indebting this nation. I want to talk about they're going to bring this. They put Winston Brasington. Oh, jeez. God help Guyana with these people. Winston Brasington named to head the gas to shore project.
For the listeners who don't know too much about Mr. Winston Brasington, can you just give us a little synopsis of why we should be worried
Winston
about him?
Brasington sat at the helm of
Nissan.
for all the PPP years and did every deal that he did, he fit in confidentiality clause inside that says the deal is between who and who, between Nissan and the individual. Is a set of skullduggery that went on there. Projects and land and on to now we don't even know. And this is why we needed that change. And instead of change, we get exchange. The coalition go in there and did almost the exact thing that Winston Brassington did. Everything was secret under Brassington. They deliberately put in confidentiality clause in contracts and deals, just not for the nation to know what money they're spending and what assets they're giving out and the deals they made with them. And I could reel off a ton of them. The Marriott Hotel, the Sonata Complex, the Enmore Packaging Plant, all these deals where they buy for the Skeldon plant. There's so much land and properties that disappeared from your hands, Guyanese, brothers and sisters, from your hands, our hands. And Brassington sat at the helm there, and he's back here heading the, according to Vice President Jagdev, he will be heading the gas to shore project, this oil engine that we put in Guyana. Well, I don't want, you may very well see 17 or 20 confidentiality clause in that. You see, these are the kind of cockishness, that goes on in this land. And everybody just hiding behind confidentiality clause. Basically, they're doing backdoor deals. I don't want you to know. And when you talk about them, they're ready to run and go to the court. Well, I plan putting a bed in the Supreme Court for all of you. Because I carry me to court all the time. Yeah.
So we've...
What story we carrying tomorrow? We can talk about one. Which one you want me to talk about? Kemol.
Okay, we can talk about my story about Ghana. Ghana has a series of energy deals that it has signed with power producers because Ghana has brought gas to shore to provide power to its millions. And Ghana recently successfully renegotiated one of those deals. It found that the previous administration hastily signed deals in an attempt to fix the unreliable electricity issue. And because of those hasty deals, it decided that it needed better rates for its people. It needed terms that were more competitive. So it sat one of the large companies down and it said, this is not a contract that's benefiting both sides, and we can help each other.
So basically, they did what Keith Rowley in Trinidad says.
That's right.
This contract does not benefit both people. So sit on the table and let's renegotiate.
Right.
Well, we can do the same thing here. We can call all those oil companies. We can demand from them that these contracts you all sign with our leaders does not benefit both parties, and we should demand a renegotiation. Renegotiation should be on everybody's lips and tongues every single moment. From the time you wake, Guyana, talk about renegotiation. Let us have these deals renegotiated. 1% and 2% is nothing, especially when you allow the people to recover these money. So we have to demand renegotiation. Renegotiation should be there. A matter of fact, we should put that on the front page of the Kaieteur News every day. So it reminds people renegotiation can happen. Renegotiation is a must. And we should hold our leaders accountable on that too. We should ask them. Every day we should ask them, guys, what about renegotiation? You got a bad deal. Bad deals are being renegotiated all across this world.
Sure.
Why aren't we asking for that? Why aren't we demanding that? We should be fighting for that every hour.
And what Ghana is doing, this is just the first of the deals that it intends to renegotiate. It has a plan to look at all of the deals it has with the companies it's working with and getting better terms from all of them.
We this is not nice to say, but the only way we can get a renegotiation is you got to remove these PPP and PNC and the AFC leaders. You got to remove them, Guyana. You guys got to start looking for leaders who can lead this land fearlessly and honestly. You have them. Y'all start looking for them. Demand that they step up. They get up onto the plate. If these leaders don't step up, you guys got to demand new leaders in this land. And I would be one to say, hey, a matter of fact, I'll be looking just like you to find leaders to take over the mantle of this country so that you, me, and every one of us here, every Guyanese can benefit a fair share of what belongs to you, Guyana. Please, I am begging you, wake up and let's speak up.
There's a comment here from a Derek Hawker. It's based on what you just spoke about getting new leaders. And he's asking if you would ever run for being president.
No. No. I am doing, my job is cut out to be a newsman. I have to bring the news to you. I am not a leader. And I ain't getting nowhere there. I just want you guys to look for leaders who can lead this nation, who can fight for this country, who can honestly say, listen guys, you guys have to renegotiate this contract. And you must. And it can happen. It's not nothing big.
But if you're called to serve.
I am no. I am doing a good job here. You don't tell that guy don't pull me into politics. I love what I do every day. I love to expose the ills of society. I am fighting every day for a better life for each Guyanese, and I'm doing it. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. Come on, leave me out of politics.
And I think a few people also across the region think you're doing a pretty good job. You participated in a conference today.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes. I should tell you, I sat on a panel, on a regional panel conference where we were talking about corruption, and I share my views on Guyana there. It was meaningful, insightful. A matter of fact, I asked them to let's have this program on a monthly basis, so we can all learn from each other. It was a beautiful program today. Maybe another day I can share some of the things that came out of the conference today.
I think a lot of media houses can learn from the unconventional ways that we have tried to reach out to all types of people. I can't think of any other media house here that has opened themselves up to using Creolese or has something like a blunt page. It's very commendable.
Yes. Okay.
Not to toot our own horn.
So we are on our final 4 minutes of our extended show, Mr. Lall. Again, for your final comments on tonight's program.
What do I say here? I want you guys to wake up. I want every Guyanese must be speaking about their wealth. It belongs to you. It belongs to all of us. It does not belong to these foreign players. These foreigners, it does not belong to them. It doesn't belong to the Americans, the Canadians, the Russians, the Chinese, the Indians, whoever they are, Australian. No, it belongs to us. And let us demand, guys, let us demand what belongs to us. Stand up.
I agree.
Same here.
I think it's something all across tonight's panel.
All right, so I hope to be back with you on Wednesday evening. Please join us. And if you came on late, you can listen tomorrow at 11 a.m. to get a rebroadcast of what was discussed here tonight. Thank you all, Guyana, and good night.
Good night.